I'm just writing the chapter on safety for Fast Track, my book on high-speed trains, to be published by Penguin next summer. One of the remarkable aspects of the story of high-speed rail is that there have been no major accidents involving trains running at a maximum speed. Every day, thousands of trains around the world run at 250 kilometers per hour or more, the definition of high speed. But fortunately, none have gone off the rails at that speed on a dedicated section of high-speed rail while in normal passenger service. Unfortunately, what has prompted this piece is the story of a fast train service in America, Brightline, which is proving particularly deadly, but not to its passengers. There have indeed several disasters involving very fast trains, most notably in Germany and Spain, where they resulted in high death tolls. More than 100 people were killed when an ICE high-speed train derailed at Eschede in northern Germany and smashed into a concrete bridge in June 1998, a story I covered for The Independent at the time. A wheel on the train had developed a fault, losing its outer tyre, and had caused the derailment at a point's crossing while the train was travelling at around 200 kilometres per hour, but was not on a dedicated section of high-speed line. As a result, wheels on ICE trains were modified to prevent a similar disaster. The other major catastrophe involving European high-speed trains was in Spain in July 2013. A high-speed train which had left the dedicated fast tracks was travelling at twice the maximum line speed of 80 kilometres per hour when it derailed at a curve and caused the death of 79 people near Santa Maria de Compostela, and nearly twice that number of injuries. The cause was very simple. The driver had not realised that he had left the fast section of tracks. In France, a test train derailed, killing 11 people at Exverheim because it was running too fast on a section of track. The train was on a trial before the opening of the LGV East in 2015. Again, it was simply going too fast, 265 kilometres per hour, on a section of track where the speed limit was 175 kilometres per hour. The driver was distracted by the fact that there were several people in the cab and therefore had not noticed that he was on a slower section of track. Otherwise, incidents on the French high-speed network, where trains have been operating since 1981, have been minor, involving injuries but not fatalities. China too has had one major accident involving high-speed trains, but again not operating at full throttle. In the relatively early days of their network in July 2011, a high-speed service smashed into a stationary train on a viaduct in Wenzhou due to a signalling error apparently caused by a lightning strike. However, the train was running relatively slowly, but nevertheless 40 people were killed as carriages were knocked off the viaduct. Lessons were learned from this experience, and China, with 30,000 miles of high-speed network, has not had a subsequent disaster. The strange pattern to this is that there has been no major accidents with the trains running at full speed in normal passenger service, as I reiterate. This is a remarkable record, and obviously one day, hopefully, very far off, it will be broken. The biggest risk is probably weather or earthquake related, though high-speed networks in seismically risky areas have been fitted with sensitive warning systems. There is, though, one railway which has a particularly bad record, precisely because it's not really a high-speed line, but still operates at 125 miles per hour. This is the Brightline in Florida, built out of a freight line and still sharing the tracks with goods trains. Since opening in 2017, the trains on the line have killed at least 186 people, of whom only around 40 are reckoned to have been suicides. And it's been getting worse, with 41 deaths last year. This contrasts with the Long Island Railroad, the busiest commuter line in the US, which accounted for just 6 deaths last year. As the Atlantic's recent article on the Brightline points out, Long Island Railroad runs 947 trains per day, while Brightline has just 32, and apparently kills someone every 13 days. So bad is the safety record of the line that local papers have called it the death train. The problem is that although the trains run at 125 miles per hour, which is not officially high speed in terms of world railways, it has lots of level crossings and footpaths running across it, and the trains are both fast and relatively silent. In contrast, all genuine high-speed lines across the world operate on dedicated tracks that are generally fenced off, except in Germany, and do not have any at-grade vehicle crossing points. The fundamental problem is that Brightline is a profit-seeking enterprise built with private money, and therefore it has been reluctant to put up the fencing and extra protections that would prevent some of these deaths. The line was built on the cheap, and therefore not all the crossings were removed. Therefore, the source of the high death toll is not a matter of rocket science. As Richard White, a rail historian quoted in The Atlantic, put it, fast trains and at-grade crossings are always a deadly combination. Indeed, the lesson, therefore, is that if you are building a high-speed line, it cannot be done on the cheap, and therefore it is unlikely to be a genuinely private enterprise. The risks are simply too great for private companies to take.